Hi, I want to show you today how to use the Jumbo Octagon Shimmer templates, the kite and the triangle, and how to cut them so when you piece them and then trim them down, you get really clean, beautiful blocks to work with. Hi, my name is Jennifer Sampou, and I'm the creator of the Octagon Shimmer quilt pattern that is using the Octagon Shimmer templates. I have 3 other patterns that use the exact same templates, so I thought I'd show you some tricks that I've learned along the way that make it easier and more accurate. And it is the wintertime pattern pack, which has the cardinal shimmer quilt and the table topper. And then I also use the same templates in the Sunset Lake, which is a new pattern out in my ombre quilt books. So we're going to go over how to use these templates in the most successful way to get you nice sharp points, accurate seam allowances, and then you trim it in the end so that you're squaring it up, because we've got a lot of biases we're working with because of the triangles and the angles, and I want to help you mitigate that and get some successful results. So here you have a really big, fabulous acrylic template, and it is great to use this because it is nice to cut against and it's a big piece of fabric. We do have the paper templates in all the pattern packs that you can use, so you don't have to have this. This just makes your life a little bit easier. And then the kites are cut from a different fabric. And in my Octagon Shimmer quilt, a lot of the pieces in the triangle were stripped. So this technique I'm showing you today is not going to be as useful when you're doing all these little strips, because you end up using this big jumbo template and cutting them off in the end. This is more useful when you're doing big entire pieces of one color, and I do that in all patterns, but especially in the last 3 patterns, which are Wintertime Shimmer Cardinal, the Wintertime Table Topper, and then the Sunset Lake. So the first thing we're going to do is, this is your large jumbo triangle, and it's big. It's 26 inches length down, which is a really nice triangle to have with a 90-degree angle here. And we're going to first mark our template, and then what I do that with, because it's going to, you're going to cut a bigger triangle than you need, so just bear with me and I'll show you how. So we're going to be cutting out these triangles, and we're going to be cutting them bigger, so when I piece them together I can cut and trim. And the reason I like to do this is, like I mentioned initially, was that when you have long biases and you're sewing biases to biases, that it can get wonky, and if you only cut the perfect triangle to fit to the kite, if you're not exact on your 1/4 inch seam allowance, or you didn't exactly cut that right, your triangle can go wonky and it goes bad really fast. And that is just not fun to deal with. So let's get in front of it and relax and make this quilt. First of all, the thing that I want to do on this template pattern is we're going to mark on our template with a Sharpie 1.5 inches from this main line. This main line here, if I put this template on top, is the seam allowance line right there. The secondary line is if you're cutting it perfect. If you're cutting your triangle perfect, it's from here. But I'm going to want to cut it bigger. So I line up my Omnigrip 1.5 inches from this line, this kite line here. I line it up, 1.5, double check. Don't want to get my head in the camera there. I'm always getting yelled at for putting my head in the camera. line it up, and then with my Sharpie, I'm just gonna mark it with a dotted line, and that's my guide. And really hold nice and strong with your left hand. This is if you're a righty. This is why I like this Omni Grip ruler. So see how I've got that simple line there? So that's my established line that I line up with the edge of the fabric when I am ready to cut. So that's step one. Step two is to cut the width of fabric, or the width here by the width of fabric and the length. So here's the selvages down here, and it's doubled. See how this is doubled? And I need to cut this 13 3/4. So I measure 13 3/4. I can use this nice jumbo template right here. I don't need to get another ruler. And I do 13 3/4, 13 3/4, measure twice. Put your hand down, and you can, when you have a long area to cut, I like moving my hand. So here, keep going. So then you have your piece that you're cutting from. And this is just scraps. If you want to do more than one piece at a time, go for it. That's completely fine. For today's purposes, I'm just showing you one thickness. So here we line up our fabric along the board, and then I'm going to start cutting my triangles. See how it's going beyond the line of a 1 3/4 inch beyond? Just start cutting. Okay, so we've got our triangles here. Okay, and then if you wanted to double your fabrics or put more layers on, that will definitely reduce your time. And that's what I do. I love to layer my fabrics and cut them whack, 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 whack. So see how these are bigger? If you cut them perfectly, they would be, you know, that much smaller. And then you have to make sure your seam and your lining up is perfect. And then when you press, these are all on biases, right? There's a lot of biases going on here. And these are fussy cuts, so there's biases on every side. So right sides together, and I'm going to sew my 1/4 inch seam allowance right along here. Then I'm going to press it open, and then I'm going to sew this side. Right sides together, that overlap again, and then I'm going to press it open, and then I'm going to trim the whole triangle up. Okay, so here's the block. It hasn't been trimmed yet, but it's super clean. I've got plenty of room for trimming, and I didn't have to worry about making everything exact because I know that I'm trimming it down. And this is the beauty of these templates. Oh, they're so nice. There's no stress. There's no anxiety. This is just fun. This is fun making. And I'm going to show you the back. So see, here's the back, showing my seams. And I pressed it open. I used starch. Starching your pieces is very, very helpful for stability, especially when you're working with biases. So I get a lot of these made. I make more than one. I probably get, if you're looking at my quilt, I'll probably make like 8 at a time. So you take your big octagon triangle, and then we're going to trim it now. And I trim one at a time. I don't do multiple trimmings. So you put it down, and the important part is lining up your top edge of your kite and then all the way down to your point. The point is key. So see how my lines aren't exactly lining up. That's okay. My main concern is the points, and that it's going to wiggle a little bit. And if you pull, because it's all in biases, you'll be able to meet these corners when you go to sew them all together. So now I'm ready to trim. So I just finished cutting. It's a beautiful, beautiful triangle. I mean, even if I put it down on my board here, I've got that 45-degree line on my board, and here, a nice big block. And it's important that you've got that 1/4 inch seam allowance because you'll be putting blocks together and you'll be getting your tips and points together, so that's important. And just keep going making your blocks, and one by one you'll get all of your octagons made. So thanks for stopping by. If you like this method of doing a more relaxed way of creating the big jumbo blocks, you can get a set of templates at my website. They come 2 to a set, the kite and the triangle, at jennifersampou.com. And they are custom acrylic templates made by me. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video, if you learned something, and please follow us below in the link for C&T Publishing YouTube. Thanks for stopping by. Happy quilting. Dun, 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 C&T Publishing.